So there's been a recent internet phenomenon, I guess you could say, called BROXH or BROXH. BROXH we'll go with, who's been coined one of the most wholesome people on the internet at the moment, because he's been trying to, or he had been, he was famous for, when he first rose to fame, famous for trying to return or wanting to return Twitch donations. People donate him money, and he would want to return it, because he maybe didn't think he deserved it, or for whatever reason he wanted to return the money to the donator. Now this man has recently blown up in terms of views, exposure, and you can question why is this, but it's quite obvious, and it's due to his humility, right? His modesty, and one may question if this is false, if there is malintent, if there is malice lying beneath his humility. And this is only important insofar as you're concerned with the streamer's authenticity. But if you're more interested in the accumulation of wealth and a viewer base, a following, then you can see it as kind of a principle to follow and to be humble, or show humility at least in your endeavourings. And this is potentially paradoxical, because you can say, oh yes, I'm incredibly humble, and there's an irony in that, I guess. But if you can recognise, or if you have friends recognise your intense humility, however you don't see a upsurge in your viewer base or anything like that, then it can be quite paradoxical, because you're following a principle shown by this BROXH to lay out a rule that states that the more humble, the more viewership. And potentially this is only when such humility is either authentic or incredibly well acted. However, such are anomalies. People as BROXH, they are anomalous. This doesn't happen often. I can't explain exactly why. A lot of psychology going into it, potentially because of his being potentially something of a minority in terms of ethnicity, background, etc. This maybe adds a sense of compassion and sympathy from his viewers, thus increasing his symbolic value as somebody to be exposed more, viewed more, given more attention to. So if you're trying to follow this principle, don't be surprised if it doesn't work, because one, you may not be a figure who's seen as worth such attention, which may be due to your being a cis white male, or it may be due to how saturated it is, and BROXH was just an anomaly, and who is, I would easily believe, to be an entirely authentically humble person. So yeah, it's potentially paradoxical, and you probably are more likely to gain short-term success, short-term exposure, if you are flagging your personality about the internet, advertising yourself, making clickbaity titles such as this one. Then you're likely to gain more exposure, especially in a sort of short run. But if you want to play more long run and potentially more risk, then yeah, strive to be indefinitely humble, and to authentically learn to be humble, genuinely. And you might never gain fame, but you probably will live a more satisfied and authentic, and a life closer to self-realization, you may call it.